What's up, guys? Let me know if the sound is good before I start. Let's put some goggles on. Yo, what's up, Darren? Derek, what's up? Refrigeration. Geez, already 62 people inside the room. That's pretty good. I know, guys. There's a lot of sun coming in from the window, but I couldn't really do anything about it, and I can't do anything also in the YouTube studio thing. So we'll just have to live with it. Pearson, bonjour, dude. What's up? How you guys doing this morning? Sunday morning. Yeah, today we're going to be talking about Sharkbite fittings. I know a lot of you guys are totally against them. If you are, maybe this live isn't for you. But there's a lot of myths and a lot of actual good facts, proven facts that need to be talked about. And I think today is a good day to do so. I have a Word file. I have 2 pages of things that I want to talk about. So obviously, there's something to be said about them. Donnie Sutton, have to leave now. Like I said, shark bites aren't for everybody. Personally, I don't use them. I'll show people how they work and all of that, but I don't use them. There's places where I would use them, but yeah, so it all depends, really. So I'm also going to be answering your questions during the live at the same time, so that I don't leave anybody out. Shark bites actually have their place and are super useful at times. Darren, that's exactly what I want to go through in this video. Only when I have another option. Here to learn. When they first came out, all we heard was temporary use, and there has been no marketing or advertising for permanent use. That's the thing. You see, it's not a it's kind of they kind of became permanent as time went on. Are they permanent? That all depends on the person that's installing them. It all depends on your level of comfort with them. It really boils down to that. So anyways, the things I'm going to be talking about in this video that I have here is, would I use them in a concealed wall? Where would I personally use them? Can the O-ring be trusted? What happens if they leak? What do we do with the stiffener inside? This part right here. I'm going to cover this too, because a lot of people have been asking that question. Also, like we said before, are they permanent? Can you use them underground? That's a good one. Another thing is, what if a plumber comes to fix something and uses these? What do you do? Who are they for? Why a lot of people install them and they leak and some don't? Reusability, and I have 2 Sharkbite fittings here, a real Sharkbite and a fake bite. We're going to be going through the differences between both of those. So if that interests you guys, stay aboard. Okay, Radestein, where are you from? From Canada. You guys are awesome. Love your videos. It's only one person making me. They literally typecasted themselves by not doing marketing. Vias. It's good to be used in visible areas. The biggest issue is I see people remove the shoulder, which is completely different to deburring it. Yeah, well, that's the thing. This is the tool I use to remove the shoulder. So like, let's say I'm installing one, I'll use this. It doesn't totally remove it, but it just makes it more round. And so it's easier for the fitting to go in, and it won't tear the O-ring. Right out of the gate, are push push and connect on the same level. That's just the name person that they give them. In refrigeration, we have a similar product like a Sharkbite. We use them and are not allowed to braise for a particular customer. Oh, that's interesting. I had no idea refrigeration HVAC started using these. All right, so first point. Personally, would I use them in a concealed wall? The answer is no. And I was always transparent about this. And the only reason why I wouldn't use them is because they didn't pass the test of time. You know, if we look at solder joints, compression joints, I guess we could include in that. They've all passed the, 50-year, 20, whatever, 70-year mark, and we know that they work. That's what we don't know about these fittings, is that we don't know if they'll last 50 to 70 years. So you're going to go and install this in a wall like over here. Well, maybe not this fake wall. That's my cat, by the way. And you want something that's going to last a long time. You don't want something that, in 10 years from now or 20 years from now, even, you're going to have to go in and replace, and also have to deal with the water damage that it'll cause. So obviously that's something to think about. I personally know a few plumbers that actually use these on their jobs, and the fact that they know how to properly install them, they're confident enough to use them on their jobs. So that says a lot about if you're confident or not in the product. It has to do a lot with the installation. If you use them in a wall for whatever reason, you have to make sure that it's been tested. And personally, I would actually keep the wall open for a few days, if possible. So like if you did a repair and your intention is to call someone to come and patch up the wall to close whatever you did, I suggest waiting a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even if you can, to see if they're not leaking. Because a lot of people, they're going to install them. First day, they won't leak. Second day, either. But with expansion and contraction, sometimes that's when, the joint starts to leak. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Okay, questions. Richard, once you get rid of the shoulder, literally minimize your chance of nicking that O-ring by about 90%. Well, yeah, that's the trick, and they say it. If you don't do that, it's gonna leak, and it's proven. A lot of leaks that we see from these either do-it-yourselfers or even pros that install them, they go back, they open up the pipe, and they see that the burr was not removed. So what would be the average life of an exposed Sharkbite? Diego, what I could say about that is that I would have to go and check on the website, the Sharkbite website, but I believe the warranty for these is 25 years or 50 years. I don't remember. I'd have to go and check that out. So if they back it up for 50 years, whatever, at least, we know that if something does happen, it'll be covered. I mean, a company wouldn't give a 50-year warranty or a 25-year warranty if they thought it would fail before, So Sharkbite needs to put an easily identifiable stamp or a mark on their stuff so that we could differentiate from the cheap shit like Wagos. Exactly. Well, look, Sharkbite does have a shark on them. You can't see them on camera, but there is a shark there. So the shark kind of shows that it's their brand. And this is a fake Sharkbite. I don't even know what company it's called. Push and Connect. That's not the company. There's actually no company name on here. So yeah, that's a good indicator on if you're getting the real stuff or not. All right. Do you like Do you like Milwaukee Rocket Light? What would you have gone with the bigger? I prefer that one. It's just lighter and it does the job fine for me. If you're looking for more light, the Rocket Light is a better choice. Must be added O-rings so that there's no leakage. There are companies. I think Legend is another company. I tried getting some Legend fittings and I had problems contacting them, so I never got any. But I think they have 2 O-rings inside, and they have a completely different mechanism than the stainless steel teeth inside here. It's like a clamp-on type of thing. Linkar. I think this is Linkar. It could be that it's them. I remember seeing that name. EDC, Sharkbites inside concealed walls. Like I said before, personally, I would not do that. I would not install these in a concealed wall. But that's just my choice. I personally know a dozen plumbers that actually use these on a daily basis on their jobs. So, it goes to show that somewhere they do have their place. If they're installed correctly, I guess, A lifetime guarantee is only valid for 7 years in Washington State. Check your own state. Always check your own state stuff. Jonathan, good morning, man. Richard, yeah, they all have a shark. Let me see on this one. Yep, there's a shark right here. Once again, you probably can't see it because I have a really bad camera, but anyways, it's they all have sharks. Do you leave excess pipe or loops in plumbings for remodels or problems later? I always try to keep some extra pipe, especially if it's PEX. It's easy to loop it up inside a ceiling or whatnot. But yeah, it's always good to have. All right, next point. Where would I personally use them? Number one, in exposed situations, for example, like water heaters. I don't know if we could see it in the back here. I have a test water heater that I'm working on a video for. And see right here, those connectors are Sharkbite fittings. They're exposed. So if something does happen, you'll see it, and if you do use them in exposed situations, try to make sure there's a floor drain nearby. If you're really not comfortable with using them, at least if something does happen, the water will be able to drain. What else would I use them for? For capping off lines during renovations. When I did the renovations in my personal house, I had to cut the toilet lines. I had to cut the sink lines, the bathtub lines, and I capped all of those off with Sharkbite fittings because they're easily removable instead of having to cut it off or having to, unsolder something. They're really fun for that, and you could reuse them. You can reuse them even if they've been installed once. So yeah, I would use it for that. What else would I use it for? In an emergency situation. So let's say, I don't know me, I own a rental property, which I do. I get a call in the middle of the night. Hey, I don't know, there's a pipe leaking inside a wall. Well, I always have a kit ready. Let me just adjust my camera here so that it stops autofocusing. Oh, I can't. Okay, too bad. So yeah, middle of the night, I get a call. Line is burst because it froze, something like that. Someone drilled a hole in it. The first thing I would do is I would bring a slip coupling. I don't have one on hand here, but I would bring a slip coupling. Obviously, the first thing you'd want to do in that situation is close the water to the apartment or the house. You can't always find this valve, or sometimes it's behind a locked door. So not everybody has a freeze kit to freeze the pipe or something like that. So that's where these really come in handy. I think I have a. No, I don't. But yeah, you could get a valve Because let's say you have 50, 60, 70 pounds of pressure to install a cap, it's going to be tough. So the trick for those particular situations would be to install the valve over the pipe, opened, and then when it's on, you close the valve. Normally, a lot of plumbers, that's what they do. They carry Sharkbite valves in their trucks for those situations. What else would I use it for? A temporary fix. So let's say, I don't know, me. What could I give as an example? I don't know. I disconnected two lines. I would use a coupling similar to this situation here. And, when I could, I just solder it up together. Why? Because I know how to solder. A lot of people don't know how to solder. And that's when, judging for yourself when you'd want to use it as a permanent solution, that's all up to you, Oh, yeah. Another place where a lot of people will use these is when they're going from polybutylene to copper, CPVC, or PEX. Polybutylene is, if you guys don't know, was a type of PEX, I guess, or type of plastic pipe that was used, I think, in the 90s or in the late 80s or something like that. And it used to crack after a while. The fittings would crack, the pipes would crack, the joints, everything would start to leak. So a lot of plumbing companies would need to go to these houses, and they'd have millions of thousands of homes to fix just that. They would remove all of the polybutylene and start from new. So what a lot of people would do is they just install a coupling and go from polybutylene to PEX or CPVC or whatever. That's probably the only place where I would personally use them, because the transition fittings to go from polybutylene to PEX or copper are sometimes hard to find. I saw on Amazon that they had them, but they don't always have them. So at least the Sharkbite fittings do work. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is the O-rings. A lot of people are asking if the O-rings, here, I have a cutaway here. If the O-rings, I made this cutaway for that Sharkbite video that I did, but if the O-rings inside, so what keeps the water from coming out, if they're durable or if they're trustworthy. Now, if you know something about O-rings in your typical faucets or what else? What else can you find them in? Yeah, it's mostly in your faucets, or I think even in your toilet valves and stuff like that. The type of O-rings that are used are nitrile. Nitrile O-rings are not as durable or tough or all of that compared to EPDM. You read up on EPDM O-rings, okay, guys? There's a lot to learn about them, and this is some serious stuff. They use these in cars. The braking system in your car that you personally have has EPDM O-rings inside. So, if you're relying on an O-ring for your car to brake, why not rely on it for your water? And I may sound like I'm biased or that I'm sponsored by Shark. I'm not. Okay, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of these fittings and if they're really worth using or not. So yeah, I get that. That's comments that I get a lot is the O-ring doesn't work and this and that, but what is there to say about nitrile O-rings? There's a lot to say about those too, and why are they in our systems, and that they're not as good as EPDM, but we're not giving any bad attention to them. So that's something that we have to talk about. All right. So what if you install one of these fittings, whether it was installed properly or improperly, whether it was voluntary or involuntary? What happens if it leaks? What will Sharkbite do? What will your insurances do? First of all, not too long ago, I have a rental property, and right before I bought it, the previous owner did some renovations in it by a contractor that was not licensed. So he did the shower, he did the bath, he did all of the plumbing in the condo, and the shower was not done properly. There wasn't any. It wasn't tight enough, the shower drain. So what happened is that when I got some tenants in there, the shower drain started to slow leak. Well, when you have a slow leak, your insurances don't pay. Unfortunately, they only pay if there's a big burst, and you call them up the next day. They'll send someone, a professional, and they'll check to see if it was really a burst or a slow leak. So you can't really get away from that. It's the same thing with these. These won't explode. They won't. Well, some of them say that they'll explode, but that's, if they were installed and they were only on this much, of course they'll come off. That's why you need to make a mark. You see, like this one here, there's a mark. There's a depth gauge that you could get for these, which is this here. And every time you install a Sharkbite, you need to mark it. If it's not marked and it leaks, see, like this right here. If it's not marked, your insurances won't pay. Sharkbite won't pay. Nothing. No one will pay because they won't see, that this mark was made. So whoever installed it was taking a chance. So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah. So if they're only gonna pay, we know how insurance companies work, right? They're looking to never pay. That's their job. But they're only gonna pay if it's them, if it's manufacturing error. So like there's one plumber that I knew that would install these, and he had a leak, and I don't know if it was the O-ring that wasn't inside or one of these. I can't remember what he had told me, but he sued. Did he sue? I actually don't remember. I think he just contacted them and said, look, listen, the fitting had a missing O-ring inside, so that's why. And they paid for all the damages. They paid for, so you have to put, if you're using these, you have to put all of the chances on your side. You have to make sure that there's no dirt inside. You have to make sure that the O-ring is inside. If you're using PEX, you have to make sure this is in. This is a stiffener. PEX could collapse on itself if it's inserted in here. So, if you're using PEX, you absolutely need to make sure that the pipe stiffener is inside before inserting the pipe, no matter what. So yeah, that's pretty much it. They're only going to cover if really it's their fault, and if it's installation error, they will not cover. So that's what's going to happen if ever you get water damage with Sharkbite fittings. Water damage does suck. I deal with it all the time. It really does. Sharkbite sucks. We Indians now only use CPVC, PVC, PVC for plumbing. Just solder the shit, no issues. So that's why Sharkbite fittings are so expensive to cover their liability insurance. Actually, no. I don't know why they're expensive. Well, they're expensive, number one, because they're kind of mechanical. So there's a few pieces to them. It's not just one piece of copper. So yeah. But I'm sure some of their money goes into that to pay for their liability. What are the main differences in EPDM versus the regular one? It's just a different chemical makeup. EPDM resists more heat. It's better at it's more resistant to chlorine in the water, minerals and stuff like that. It doesn't dry up as fast as nitrile O-rings. So yeah, that's why they use EPDM in their stuff. I want to be a licensed plumber, but being 30, I heard you have to be an apprentice for 4 years. Absolutely, RJ. It's 4 years it's 4 years minus the time you did in school to be able to sign up to become a plumber. Richard Wolf, yeah. Well, their proprietary material is EPDM. Why don't I have overhead tanks? Over here in Canada, we don't have that. I went to Europe once. I went to France, and they had overhead tanks. Why do they do it that way? That I don't know. But yeah, so. Okay, so yeah, I want to go back on these stiffeners. On these Sharkbite packages, they say that if you're using copper, so like let's say if I'm using copper like this, just get the live back up. Let's say if I'm using copper like this, all right, and I want to install a T, do I remove this stiffener or not? On the Sharkbite packaging, I don't have one here right now, but I remember seeing that they themselves, Sharkbite, say to remove this. Why to remove it? It's an unknown reason. Obviously, if you're using PEX, you want to keep it, but I went and I asked Sharkbite personally what to do with this, and they said to keep it in there. And I asked them why, and they said that the teeth, you see, so like these teeth right here, those stainless steel teeth, those are what keep the pipe inside. If you remove this, which would kind of look like this here, well, you could potentially unbend these teeth and they could come off. That's what they said. They don't mention that on the packaging. So they need to straighten that stuff up between them, because we as users don't know whether we should keep it inside if we're using copper or not. One thing I do know, though, if you decide to keep it inside, you decide to keep the stiffener inside because you know, they told the same thing to you guys and they said to not remove it. Deburr the inside of the pipe. If you don't have a deburring tool, get one. You always want to deburr the inside of the pipe. You want to remove that sharp edge. Why? Because when this stiffener goes in, because of that sharp edge, it could get stuck. And that's when a lot of people install Sharkbite fittings and they have no water going to their fixture. It's because this thing gets in the way. So you have to make sure that it's deburred, that sharp edge is removed. All right, some questions. Did I miss you compare the off-brand fitting person? Yes, I did compare them before, so you'll have to go back. Have you seen the water heaters that people are mounting outside the sun now? No. EPDM is the coating on welding cables. They use EPDM for a lot of things. They even use them on roofings, the membrane on roofs. They use them in planes, submarines. They use them on ships. EPDM is a very reliable O-ring. My boss says to remove them when using on copper for less restriction. You see, that's the thing. We don't know because Sharkbite doesn't seem to know themselves whether we should remove them or not. That's a myth, a myth even to me. The argument is whether you reuse a Sharkbite once you remove it or not. I always throw them away. I don't believe in reusing them, even if there was nothing wrong with it. I actually have a topic on that I'll be talking about later. If we are doing a repipe, it is now always PEX. Yeah, even here, contractors are turning to PEX a lot. Unfortunately, copper is only used in schools. hospitals, and really like some commercial buildings, but copper is way too expensive. Been using Sharkbite since 2008 in all my properties, never had a problem. So you see, some people use them, they don't have problems. Some people use them, they have problems. So, you know, it goes to show that they do work. It just depends on how they were installed, and also, you know, the situation, the circumstances. It really depends. If we're doing been using Shark, okay. Why so much bad feeling on Sharkbite? Because the people installing them, and no offense, guys, the people installing them think that you could just cut a copper pipe like this, you know, jam it on and hope for the best. That's not how it works. Sharkbite fittings do need preparation. It's just like soldering. It's just like compression fittings. It's just like pro press. There's no perfect system. You can't just cut a pipe and install these on. It's not the way it works. If you guys didn't see, I know most of you did see it, but if you didn't see the complete guide that I made on Sharkbite fittings, I'll pin it here so that you can watch it. So I'll pin it on top. I don't know if we see it. I don't see it. Oh, it's pinned at the bottom. All right. So anyways, watch that, guys, if you haven't seen it yet. Oh, there it is. It just appeared. All right. Okay, so are they permanent? I get that question a lot. Are they permanent? That all depends on you. If you're comfortable leaving them on, if you you know, you feel you did the right thing and you did all the preparation, just like Sharkbite says that you have to do, and you're sure at 100%, they could be permanent for you. There's no problem with that. If something happens, though, you have to be ready to assume, you know, and be willing to pay for whatever damages. It really all depends on you, your comfort level, and the skills that you have, and if they were properly installed. So a lot of people won't use them as permanent fixes. They'll use them, like, let's say in Texas not too long ago, what happened, you know, they just get Sharkbite fittings, and they would fix their burst. And let's say when a plumber was free, because, you know, they were booked, they were really booked. There was plumbers that had 3 weeks waiting line to be able to go and fix stuff. Plumbers even from here, from Canada, were going to Texas to go and help these people out. So yeah, they would use these as a temporary fix until they could get a plumber to come and fix it in a more permanent fashion. Some will leave them there, some won't. It really all depends on you. Underground. Can you use these underground? Yes, you can. Will I use them underground? No, I won't. But can you? Yes, they are approved. Once again, if ever you do install these underground, check your consult with your city. Make sure that your local code allows for these to be installed, just installed, whether it's underground or inside your home or outside or on your roof, wherever you're installing them. You have to make sure that you can install these. A lot of states or a lot of countries don't even allow for these to be installed. So always consult. Yeah, so if you do install these underground, this is why I prepared this over here. You absolutely, to maintain the 25-year warranty, you absolutely need to use the self-fusing silicone tape. If you don't use this, they won't cover if something happens. So what you do is, before burying it, you'd wrap this around. Well, you'd measure how much tape you need. I already cut my piece here, so I'll show you guys. You want to wrap 1 inch away from the fitting, and you want to overlap a 1/2 inch every turn. So this is how it would go. This tape kind of self-adheres to itself, which is pretty cool. This is what they use for those, I'm not even installing it right. This is what they use for those fixes, that red tape, the red alpha tape. I showed some of that in my other video, but it's the same. It's basically the same tape. They use this to prevent contaminants from the ground from getting in the fitting, and that's the only way that you can install these underground is if you install this tape, and you have to stretch it on. You got to really stretch it on like this. So 1/2 inch overlap. I know it's not the tidiest looking. Just like that. And you try to dress it up as much as you can while you're installing it so that it's, doesn't have all kinds of folds like mine. Like that. And the same on the other side. You want to go at least 1 inch past the edge of the fitting. So at least 1 inch after. Anything more is okay. And you see this tape, it basically self-fuses to itself. I didn't apply any glue or anything. Yes, like Richard said, you have to keep a tension on it so that it self adheres to itself, or else it won't work. So you see, this tape has no glue to it. It is not sticky. See? It is not sticky, but the way it's made is that when you stretch it, it kind of grabs onto itself, which is really neat. And the longer it stays on, the more that it sticks to itself. So it's really a neat material. It's made out of silicone. It's really cool. So yeah, with this type of installation, you're able to install PEX, copper underground. Once again, always check with your local code and your city to be able to make sure that you can actually do this. And you'd be safe. You'd be safe using it that way. Would I do it? Once again, no, because the test of time still isn't there yet for me. So yeah, that's pretty much it. They have a certification. I went on their site. It's called the IAPMO certification, and that's, to them, I think that's what allows them to be able to install these underground. I'll link the facts, Sharkbite facts, fittings, so you guys can go and read on them. Oops. Right here. All right, so I'm going to answer some questions. Are you in the States? I'm not in the States. I'm in Canada. It is what it is until it isn't. That's a good way of seeing it. I use pressing machine tool, press fitting. They're amazing for temporary fixing. Yes, they are. Very easy to use. He's in Canada. Sharkbites are only good for do-it-yourself repairs. That's debatable. We don't know. I know MR. I know a lot of plumbers, pro plumbers, and like I said, I'm not sponsored, affiliated. I'm none of that with Sharkbite. I'm able to talk bad about them just as I'm able to talk good. A lot of people, a lot of plumbers, pro plumbers actually use these. Whether, believe it or not, they actually use these on their jobs. The rental property that I have, that I was talking about before, the shower needed to be connected, and they actually use this in my property. for the shower. And when I saw that, I told him to take it off and to use ProPress instead. So, you know, I'm not just talking good about them. I personally am not ready to use them yet. Maybe one day, but not yet. We don't have this in Europe. You should check with your ground and make sure you don't have an acidic ground or soil. Like I said before, you have to check. All of these things need to be checked. Whether you're using copper, whether you're using that other flexible type of pipe, you always have to check these things. You don't just install a pipe in the ground and hope it's gonna work, you know. What about using UPVC for plumbing in Canada? Never heard of UPVC. Heard of CPVC or just PVC. There's an absolute noticeable difference, noticeable pressure loss when you put a Sharkbite on a water line. I don't know why though. Why would there be a noticeable pressure difference? Maybe it's the stiffener. I don't know. We can tell he's not a car mechanic. We've never wrapped an exhaust before. I did that quickly, Richard. But yeah, I probably could have done a better job. I just didn't apply myself. But I'm pretty sure that just this would be good enough for it to work. Yeah, what is UPVC? Never heard of that. All right. Oh yeah, and did I say if you don't use the tape, that 25-year warranty doesn't work anymore. So you absolutely need to use it. All right, next topic. What if a plumber comes to fix something, a burst line, or just, you know, to add something and uses these? Well, this happened to me when I had my house. What happened? So the main line froze up right at the entrance of the house. And so let's say this was the entrance of the house, like this. I had a soldered ball valve on, and they cut it off to be able to pass a fish inside the copper line. And yeah, you heard right. There's a type of fish that you could pass in these lines that unclogs the ice that formed inside that blocks. So, but to do that, you have to remove anything that's on it. Has to be bare copper like this right here. So they removed the valve. They passed their special fish inside the line, and then what they did is they installed a Sharkbite valve on my main water line. So when I saw that, I said to myself, what if this valve decides to pop off? You know, like there's the time that the city comes and closes the valve in the street. It could take 2-3 hours. So how would I deal with this pipe, 3/4 inch, 80 pounds of pressure, gushing water out inside the house? How would I deal with that? So what I did is I contacted the city and I told them, look, remove the Sharkbite valve that you installed. I'll personally install a sweated valve on, and we'll call it a day. That's not a situation where you want to have a Sharkbite fitting. Personally, that's my opinion. You could do whatever you want. If you feel safe using those types of fittings on the main pipe on your house, that's all up to you, you know. But yeah, they were professional plumbers. They chose to use that instead, but it didn't work for me. So so yeah, you know, that all depends. It all depends. Also, the time that it takes to install one of these. A plumber should not be charging you the same amount of time for soldering, or, you know, whatever. If it takes more time to solder and it takes less time to install this, well, he should charge you less time, obviously. The fittings obviously cost more, so it probably comes out to the same thing. But yeah, be wary of that. All right. Greetings from India. Greetings. If a certified plumber doesn't give you an itemized invoice with Sharkbite listed on step, you're losing your warranty claim. Oh, I did not know that. Like using a Sharkbite PRV. I actually have a Sharkbite PRV here. What's wrong with them? Would you consider using a compression valve for a main shutoff? Zero, nada, never. The only thing that I accept for a main shutoff valve would be a pro press. That would be like pushing it, or just your typical sweated valve. Those are the only two connection methods that I personally trust. Well, a lot of people are going to say, yeah, but pro press and Sharkbite are the same. There's a lot more bad stories about shark bites than there are about pro press fittings, and they've been out for a while, for longer. So, certified plumber installation number 2 listed, itemized on contract, confirm installed correctly. You see these things I didn't know. Thanks, Richard. First 3 steps to a claim. So yeah. Another thing that I wanted to say is who are they for? Well, obviously, they're more for do-it-yourselfers. The reason being is that not everybody has the skills to solder. So that's when we're going to be seeing them the most. And what happens is a lot of do-it-yourselfers, like, I don't want to say anything bad, but a lot of do-it-yourselfers that are going to install these don't have the necessary skill sets to know when something is wrong, or when something isn't done properly. Hey, Roger Wakefield, what's up, buddy? how are you guys doing in Texas? Wasn't expecting Roger to pop in today. That's cool, man. Hey, I have to get back to you concerning that the collab that you wanted to do. I totally forgot about that. Sorry, man. Woo, Roger. All right. So yeah, what's your opinion, Roger, on Sharkbite fittings? A lot of people, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would like to hear your opinion on those. I know you did a video not too long ago on them, but if you want, just let us know with a small paragraph. That would be great. Okay, another thing I wanna talk about is why they leak. So let's say if you are installing these, okay, and you're unexperienced, or for whatever reason they do leak. It's important that you know why they are leaking, so that you can, fix that particular issue before saying that, let's say that they don't work or whatever. The main reason why these fittings leak that I have came across is that the 2 pipes are crooked. So let's say if the pipes if they're straight, obviously the connection is going to happen the way it should. But if they're like this, or just one of them is crooked, it's the seal on the O-ring can't be done. It'll only be done on one side. The other side, there's going to be a small gap, and that's when they're going to start to leak. So the first thing you want to make sure of if you are installing these is to make sure that it's straight like this. If it requires you to, cut a little notch in a stud or something to realign them, just do so. Once again, this is if you are installing these. I think Roger is more biased to not use them, and I totally respect that. He has the same opinion on them that I have. So I think we're on the same boat. But if you are going to use them, do make sure that the pipe is straight going into each side. If they're not, chances are, it's going to leak. The number 2 reason the pipe wasn't deburred. Sharkbite supplies this. It's a 2-in-1 tool. So like I showed before, it's a marking gauge, a depth gauge, and it's also a deburring tool. So as you can see, I just deburred the outside of the pipe. It's a pretty neat concept. It's just like a disc inside, and it rounds off. It rounds off the edge pretty nicely, actually. So you can either use one of these. You could use one of these here, like this, or you could just use a file. So you would use a file. You would taper the end, and you'd be good to go. The reason why is that as you're installing it, if there's a sharp edge on here, you know, if there's a sharp edge and you're installing it crooked and you're giving it like a extreme amount of pressure for it to go in, for sure, this little O-ring over here, it's fragile. It's just gonna tear. So that's why they leak. Okay, so let's read what Roger Whitefield said. I'm against Sharkbite only because of all the leaks we've repaired and all the damage caused by them. We don't install them, but a lot of plumbers do. That's what I say about these. A lot of people have a good experience with them, and a lot of people don't. It all depends. It all depends on, you know, if they were installed properly, the circumstances, if the pipe was straight, all of these things. You know, Roger has spoken. He sure has. The third reason why they would leak. So let's say, I don't know, you had a valve or something over here that was soldered, and you unsoldered the valve or you cut it and there's a blob of solder still left on the pipe. You can't install these. You can't install them. The pipe needs to be 100% smooth. That's the only way they work. These were designed to work on a smooth surface pipe. That applies to stickers. It applies to dirt. All of these things. These fittings heavily rely on them being clean and the surface being smooth, or else they're gonna leak. And the fourth reason is if it's not installed all the way in. As you can see here on this cutaway, there's a shoulder, or a stop rather. This stop is when the pipe, why can't I get it in? Anyways, this is where the pipe has to go. And that's why it needs to be marked. So you're going to see it here. Once it's installed all the way in, look at where that mark ends up. It ends up exactly at the collar of the, and that's a good indication that it was properly inserted. You'd either use this to mark it. This, where's that mark? Oh, there it is. So yeah, you'd use it for to mark, and you can do 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 5/8, 1 inch. So this is a pretty neat tool. You'd mark it, and that's where it would have to stop, and that's you know, a good indicator as to when. So let's say if you install it, and this is what it looks like, you know it's not going to seal because it didn't reach the O-ring. So, and also, I think that if this mark isn't there and something does happen, the insurances won't pay. So, you know, they're looking for any little minute little reason to not pay. And this little mark, if it's not there, they probably won't pay. I'm 90% sure that they won't, just because of this mark. I mean, it's part of the installation, right? Good soldering is just 90% prep work and cleanliness. That's totally right, 100%. Okay, so what about reusability? I know a lot of people are against that and don't recommend doing it. But if, let's say, you're a contractor and and you're capping off lines, which is, you know, the main reason why people use Sharkbites is to cap off lines during renovations. You can reuse them. I personally used to use these all the time, 20, 30 times. As long as the pipe is deburred, that's why people choose not to reuse them. It's because the pipe isn't deburred, and that's when they start to leak. If the pipe is properly prepped, I repeat, these fittings can be reused. What I do recommend is, after a while, if you do reuse them, would be to grease them up, you know, to ensure that the O-ring is properly lubed. And you only want to do that with a good silicone grease like this, because it's potable water approved. Roger, root cause analysis will determine every problem. We should always diagnose the entire problem. Yep. Compared to solder or glue, CPVC fittings, Sharkbite fitting might restrict more, but they restrict less than a PEX crimp fitting. Yeah, that's for sure. Does Sharkbite function better on copper or PEX? From what I know of, they're pretty much the same on both. Maybe the fact that you have to keep the stiffener inside on copper can reduce flow, but I won't go and say that it's exactly that. I've seen a Sharkbite pop off of CPVC. You see, all of these things where we hear people saying that they pop off and this and that, were they properly installed? Because a Sharkbite fitting is designed in a way that once it's inserted, it doesn't just pop off. I mean, if it pops off, it you know, it's going against the law of physics here. The teeth are there to keep it on. So if it pops off, it means something is wrong in the install. Or there was an extreme amount of pressure and the teeth just gouged the pipe out. But you know, if there's an extreme amount of pressure, that means you're having problems elsewhere. All right, last topic. I pretty much covered this before, but fake bites or shark bites. There's two different, well, not branding, but you know, there's always going to be other cheaper companies trying to third party or trying to make their own. The problem with that is that if you're going to use Sharkbite, at least use if you're going to use push fit fittings, at least use the Sharkbite brand, because I think they're the only ones that offer that 25-year warranty if they're installed properly. Other cheap fittings might not offer that. So if you use them, something happens, and even if they were properly installed, the insurances might not cover that. Also, Sharkbites have EPDM O-rings, like I said before. We don't know what these have inside. Maybe they have nitrile. Maybe they have something cheaper. So don't take a chance. If you are going to use them for whatever reason, even if it's even if it's temporary, just pay, you know, a little bit more. Get the known brand. At least you know what's going on inside of them. What is this here? Oh, someone's interested in buying my channel. No thanks. Matt Reisinger did a pressure test on various PEX fittings. The Sharkbite cap blew off first at 300 psi. So you see, if they're installed properly, 300 psi is like almost 3.5 times more than what a normal system could withstand. So, like, there has to be a really good reason for them to come off. And I'm not saying that because I'm you know, a purist, and I actually do not install these. I'm just unbiased, and I want to talk facts and what are, you know, the myths that are actually there and actual facts. Handyman are a big problem in our state because they don't have a license or a bond, so they end up taking on work that they shouldn't be doing, and we end up fixing it. What is the name of the tool that is used to mark the pipe? I got in a little late. This right here, Savini. This is the what is it called? Deeper and depth gauge tool. You could find it on Amazon. You can even find it online wherever. Yeah. So I pretty much covered everything I wanted to say about Sharkbite fittings. Like the title says it's a Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, go for it. Now's the time. If you have questions regarding anything about Sharkbite fittings, there's a lot to be said about them. I didn't answer every question about them, obviously, because there's so many questions. But if you have one, just shoot it, and I'll see if I can. I'll see if I can answer it. When are you gonna get 300 psi in a water pipe? Never, unless something happens with the city lines. But you'll have problems everywhere if there's 300 pounds, even if you have soldered lines. Who wants to see a collaboration between Roger Wakefield and I? Give a thumbs up if you want one. ProPress tool set link. ProPress tool set. Oh, ProPress tool set link. Sorry about that. I wasn't getting it. Yes, a collab. Okay. ProPress tool. Jonathan, what exactly, which ProPress tool are you looking for? Milwaukee. All right, Roger, it's on. People are wanting us to do a collab, so I guess we'll have to do it. How long are shark bites supposed to last? They can't last forever. No, they can't last forever. That's for sure. And I totally agree with that. Like I said, it all depends on the circumstances, how much pressure you have, the type of water that's coming in your house, how they were installed, the usage, all of those put together. They could last 10 years like they could last probably 30, 40 years. It really depends. You have to put every chance on your side as you possibly can, and that's when they'll last the longest. That's why I always recommend having them exposed if you can. But yeah, my water's 60 psi. That's fine. As long as you don't let him tough you out on your opinions. Don't worry. Les shark bites, c'est de la camelote, mon compère. All right. Any other questions, guys? I wanted to cut this video short at an hour, but we'll be doing a little bit more, I see. Thumbs up, everyone. This is great free information. Yeah, that's another thing people don't seem to appreciate. Been getting a lot of bashing on the ads, and the videos and stuff. Guys, free information. Let's say, I don't know, you have a burst or you want to change, you want to solder up a pipe in your garage or something. A typical call from a plumber, Roger, you can say something about this. A typical call is between, let's say in US dollars, is going to be between $100 and $150. Am I right? So, $100, $150, you have to work 2 days for that. What does it cost to watch 5 ads on a video? Nothing. People shouldn't be complaining about that. What is the best surface-mounted outdoor style faucet? That I don't know. I have no experience in that. YouTube has changed the game because a homeowner can now Google it and watch the video and tell that you're doing it is wrong or right. Yeah, for sure. The internet is a very powerful platform, especially YouTube. There's a lot to learn. A lot of people are saying that college is going to just disappear. Average ticket, $450. That's US. If I'm not mistaken, Roger, you're in the States, right? So yeah, $450 for an average job, whether it's changing a tank, and that's not including the materials and this and that. So roll those ads. You have bills to pay just like everyone else. Exactly. A lot of people don't get that part. Check out Decton, 10x stronger than quartz or granite. Amazing stuff. Thanks, Richard, for that. Dallas, Texas. Oh yeah, you said it before. Sorry, I forgot. So Roger, how did you deal with all of these calls? Did you have to hire some people for that? I'm curious. I actually felt like going to Texas myself and helping, but I don't have a license. Here in Canada, service call is $150 to $200 personally. See, that's why plumbers all drive in Ferraris and Corvettes and this and that. Vous avez les Sharkbite, on a les multicouches, c'est une vraie plaie. Bah. Plumbers and electricians are almost like unicorns now. Yeah, especially what happened in Texas for sure. What do you think about Mega Press? Mega Press is the absolute bomb of a pipe, man. Of a joint, I mean. I have a video coming up on that. But as you can see, I don't really have the setup to be doing Mega Press. I'm working in my room. So, yeah, I'll have to like either rent a room that has concrete blocks or a concrete wall or something to be able to do my demo. Texas is helping out. The towners get provisional licenses. Wow. That's awesome, man. I wish I could help. Really, I'm glad I at least did my part on helping with my videos. I know there was I know this because there was a big spike in my views. What is PRV? Pressure regulating valve. My business is called Bid Breakers. I literally cherry pick the jobs that are easy and profitable with lots of room on the bone so I can save homeowner money. Oh, that's neat. What do you do about PERT pipes? What about PERT pipes? You can also install Sharkbite on PERT pipes. I always go to 3 channels. Got to Learn, Roger Wakefield, Project Farm. Project Farm. He's the guy that does all of those reviews. He's pretty good. I watch him too. I also watch Roger. He has good stuff too. I only use Vega Press V Contour. Vega is such a cool product, man. I also did a video on that. I literally just go around slicing other people's throats and telling the owner this won't cost me the much. I'm curious how these Sharkbite compares to threaded steel pipes. Oh, threaded steel pipes have proven themselves. You're gonna have a tough competition there. PERT pipe similar to PEX. Yes, Carl. Pretty much the same. I think it's just the composition, the chemical composition of the PEX that's different. PERT Plus is a great shampoo, that too. All right, guys, so I'm going to end the live. I don't want to push it more than it has to go, not to bore people out, but I hope I answered all of your questions regarding PEX, not PEX, but Sharkbite fittings. And I'll be posting this as a video. So if you guys do have questions afterwards, just drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. And also remember to give the video a thumbs up, or else I won't be able to pay for my bills. Oh, all right. So I'll also be working on a collab with Roger Wakefield. He actually contacted me for this, and I totally forgot about it. But yeah, we'll be doing a collab soon, so that should be quite interesting. All right, peace out, guys. Talk to you soon.